Excuse me. Welcome to the stream today. Yeah, everything looks good. My software had an update, but after the update, everything seems okay. So, hopefully it continues. Oh, actually, it doesn't beep. So I will leave Discord open so that if there is some problem, people can let me know. Yeah, give it a couple minutes. See if anybody jumps on. Locally, the weather has been quite stormy, so that's fun. I feel like there might still be quite a bit to do in the game because there have only been two, three, like maybe five choices in the game, other than like things we can analyze. But I think there have only been maybe five choices in the game so far. But we're only like 9 out of 43 achievements. So either during the course of a scene where there's dialogue and stuff, there's stuff I should click that I've not been clicking on, or there's still a fair bit more to play. Hey, Fun Act, welcome. Thanks for stopping in, man. So we are on episode, no, I think it's chapter 3 of the game. I have no idea how many total chapters there are. I'm curious. Let me see if I can find out how many chapters there are. One sec. Let's see. Um, I don't think that's going to do it. Let me see. I don't actually know. What if I just go straight to Steam? Well, no, that's probably not going to tell me. let me try. It looks like they're saying episodes. I thought it was chapters. Episode. In May to Dark Mirror? Do you mean Black Mirror? The next one after this? So I do this stream, and then in about 12 hours I do another one. That's that middle one you're talking about. Is that the one you're looking for? In May, looks like, of last year. So about 8 months ago, they said the next episode was 95% done. Yeah, so it looks like they were supposed to have, or they were planning to release episode 4 in June. Oh, the last episode released on May 31st last year. Yeah. So we have at least 4 episodes. And I don't know. I guess the question was, when are the 4th and 5th episodes? Oh, that's fine. It's no big deal. I don't always remember the name of games either. I'll get them messed up. What is it? Everybody has gone to the Rapture. I kept saying everyone went to the Rapture or something like that for that game by the Chinese room. So I do that sometimes too. Yeah, so May 31st last year, they finished episode 4. And the question was whether or when episode 4 and 5 are coming out. So it looks like episode 5 was planned, at least. Let's see, episode 5 release date. Let me see. I just go here. Okay. Do. So episode 4 looks like is the last that I heard about it, or that I see about it. Nothing more since then, except for like a patch here or there. So if I pause that, it is still early access. Yeah, they just have 1, 2, 3, and 4 right now, which means if you go by just episodes, I don't know about amount within each episode, right? But if you go just by episodes generally, we're a little over halfway because we hit episode 3 last week. I think it was pretty much the beginning of last time was episode 3, actually. But they are planning more, I think. Translate from Russian, English. Yeah, when is episode 5? All right, well, anyway, enough of that. I was just curious. So we have at least the rest of 3 and also episode 4. That's really what I was trying to get to. I don't want to take too long on that. I just wasn't sure, right? So, okay. So we will load. Let's see, it was here. Right here was the beginning of episode 3. So we did where we saw he was missing. So Semyon's also missing in addition to Vova. This is around the same time. It's just another shot of him, like, imagining he was in the snow. Then there's this stuff. And then the next, yeah. Okay. So let's continue. Oh, where's my backlog? Is that the one? Yeah. Okay, so I stopped at the end of the sentence, like partway through a sentence. So I'll just start the sentence. I squeezed through the barricade made of desks, looking for Polina, but instead, I stumbled into my new buddies. Romka and Biasha were waiting for me at the notice board.
Я в тебе не ошибся, Тошек.
I was right about you, Toshik.
Пацан, не спалил, как мы чуть было свинью не забили.
Atta boy, you didn't rat us out. You know us roughing up Porky.
Это повело бы милицию по ложному следу.
This would have given the police a false lead.
Наверное.
I
А вы
think.
точно не имеете отношения к исчезновению Семена?
Are you sure you have nothing to do with Simeon's disappearance?
Мы-то нет, а вот ты.
No. What about you?
Помнишь, как срулил от нас в потемках?
Remember how you bailed out on us in the darkness?
Ага, я так и говорю. Очкарик, дверь!
Yeah, it was like Four Eyes is a beast.
Тебя жирного нагонит и кокнет на!
We'll catch up with the fatso and end him, eh?
Базаришь.
What he said.
Однако мы тебе верим. А
But
ты
we
нам?
believe you. Works both ways, right? Romka's stern look made me uncomfortable, so I nodded.
Вот ты славно.
Good to hear. Romka lowered his voice and looked around the corridor in suspicion. The other kids were stealing glances at us, whispering.
Что ж, Сёма пропал, это правда.
So, Sioma is missing. That is a fact.
Как и факт, что не просто пропал, а скорее всего уже сдох.
Not just missing, but most likely already dead. Biasha shuddered.
А ты почем знаешь?
How do you know that?
Так
Because
мы за это уже терли. Здесь такие случаи не впервой.
we already talked about this. It's not the first time it's happened.
Думаешь, Сенечка, Вова этот и Сёма в Нарнию попали?
Think Sinechia, Vova, Sioma went to Narnia? Oh, like the C.S. Lewis world, right? Chronicles of Narnia. Got it.
Посидят в лесу с карамелькой за щекой и назад пришлепают.
And they'll return from the forest after hanging out there, sucking on some candy.
Ясно же, кто их к себе прибрал.
It's clear who got them.
Неужели черный?
Can it be the black...
Маничела!
The serial killer?
Бля, буду пацаны. Это все местная Чикатило.
Sure as guys, it's the local Chikatilo, eh? Andre Chikatilo, Soviet serial killer and cannibal. Ugh. He lustfully, I guess a flag with YouTube and stuff, he lustfully assaulted and killed at least 43 people, mostly women and children. He was later deemed legally sane and sentenced to death by a firing squad. So I guess he tried to pretend he was mentally insane, and they're like, yeah, no, dude. No, you get to die now. Sheesh.
Вычислить бы еще, кто он такой.
If only we could find out who he is.
Ну, если этот убийца Бабурина завалил,
Well,
он и по
if,
нашу душу явится, отвечаю.
well, if that killer offed Baburin, he'll come after us too.
Слушайте, пока Тихонов лекцию читал, я в его папку тайком заглянул.
Listen, while Tikhonov was giving his lecture, I snuck a peek at his files. Pyasha
Там
whistled.
лежало кое-что. Печатка.
There was an item there, a signet ring.
Семина печатка. И я ее того прихватил.
The one Sioma wore. And I... snatched it.
Да ладно! А ну, Дакет!
No way, show us! I looked around like a thief, then carefully took out the stolen ring.
Так я и думал, на! Маньетела!
Just like I thought, eh? The killer got him.
На части нас разрезат!
He'll cut us to pieces too. Roma wasn't impressed by that information. He just nodded, looking grim.
А еще там фотография была с гаражом черным.
There also was a photo with a garage, black one. Pyasha looked like he was punched in the gut. He staggered and hid his face in his hands.
Бляха.
Romka rolled his eyes and swore.
Опять 25.
Not this again.
Ну, спокойно, братан.
Calm
Спокойно.
down. Chill, bro. Chill.
Бяша, ты же встречал черный гараж раньше, так?
Biasha, you've encountered the Black Garage before, right?
Рома говорил, ты даже заглянул в него.
Roma said you even took a look inside. The Buryat kid started shaking all over, as if he was thrown outside naked in the middle of winter. And every new question was like a bucket of cold water on top of that. Yeah, he's scared, dude. And that does not surprise me in the slightest. That place where we visited earlier, imagine you're like a 12-year-old kid or something visiting that place. It'd freak you the hell out, right?
Что ты там видел?
What did you see there? Blee, blee, blee. Romka shielded his friend with his chest, clearly upset by my interrogation.
Забудь. Ничего он тебе толком не скажет.
Forget it. You won't say it now.
Бяшек каждый раз мозг на бекрень сворачивает, только коснись этой темы.
Biasha's brain breaks every time someone mentions these.
Коль ты теперь с нами, я тебе в последний раз рассказываю.
Since you are with us now, I'll tell you this once. Romka leaned in, like we were some sort of co-conspirators, winced in disgust as if reluctant to relieve the memory, and spoke in a whisper.
Осенью мы с пацанами от нефиг делать черной магией баловались. Хотели, как обычно, призвать пиковую даму там или над духом Пушкина постебаться. То да сё.
We were bored as hell last autumn, so we decided to play with black magic. You know, summoning the Queen of Spades or making fun of Pushkin's spirit, the usual stuff.
А вышло, брат, совсем не весело.
But the result wasn't fun at all, bro.
Один старый чудило рассказал, что мы можем призвать настоящего духа, если нарушим один строжайший запрет предков.
The old loon told us that we might summon a real ghost if we break the one great taboo of our parents.
Черт. Я ведь сразу просек, что он ёбнутый.
Shoot, I already knew he was bonkers back then.
Всего-то надо было пойти за гаражи глубокой ночью.
We only needed to go to that row of garages late at night.
И постучать в самый-самый черный, мать его.
And knock on the damn black one.
Так, мол, явится эта черная параша и всех детей заберет в лучший из миров. Охереть не встать.
That would make some black crap appear and take all the kids into a better world. What a story.
Вот мы по приколу и клюнули.
So, we decided to take the bait as a joke. Biasha wrapped his hand around his head and let out a lengthy bleat.
А когда Бяша тест на пацана проходил, то должен был в этот гараж постучать, но эта хитрая морда просто туда заглянул.
And when Biasha was doing the bravery test, he needed to knock on the garage. But an idiot took a peek inside instead.
И правильно сделал.
Maybe it was the right thing to do.
Он от ужаса тогда так заорал, что слезы брызнули.
He screamed so hard, tears sprayed from his eyes.
Отвечаю, я такой истерики отродясь не видел.
I tell you, I've never seen somebody this hysterical.
Явно там не обещанная райская куща была.
Clearly, inside of it was no promised land, yeah?
С тех пор черный гараж по нашим закоулкам шарится и нормальных пацанов жрет.
Since that day, the Black Garage has been snooping around our alleyways, gobbling up good fellas.
Что же делать?
What do we do now?
Вместе держаться, вот что. Втроем мы, как Вольтрон.
Stay together, that's what. The three of us, like Voltron. And for anybody who's not got the background from it or to recognize it, Voltron was an anime series about 5 teenagers that pilot robot lions that can fuse into a single mega robot to protect the universe from the forces of evil. It was aired in Russia during the 1990s on channel 2X2. Now, we in America had Voltron, I think it was around the same time. I think it was the 1990s also. I'm not absolutely positive, but we did have it. And I think it was around that time. Anyway. Biasha, who suddenly woke up from his shock, mumbled.
Это...
Um,
В Вольтроне их 5 было.
there were 5 of them in Voltron, eh?
Ну, считай, мы покалеченный Вольтрон.
Well, we are an injured Voltron then, eh? He looked at me with an adult gaze and nodded. His eyes were full of worry and sadness.
Ладно, раз Сёмы больше нет, айда с
Whatever.
нами.
Whatever, since Yoma's no longer with us. Let's go.
Дело одно есть. Постоишь для вида, покараулишь. Тебя, кажется, уже боятся все.
We have a job to do. You don't keep watch for us. Everybody seems to be scared of you. Scared of me? Well, I still couldn't wrap all that around my head. Their attitude softened me up, and I agreed on the spot. I followed Romka, and Biasha through the twilight corridors of our school, savoring my newfound brazenness. We walked pompously like heroes of some criminal drama, as if the 3 of us had access to some knowledge hidden from everybody else. I'm not sure I would have gone with them if they told me what the goal of our campaign was. We hid in the darkness near the school gym, and my companions started rubbing their knuckles, watching boys leave the dressing room. I think it's like this, like they're preparing in case they get in a fight, some kind of scuffle or something. Finally, Biasha pointed at someone inside the crowd.
Вон этот лох!
Here's that sucker! Romka smiled dangerously and proclaimed in a low
Стой на
voice.
стрёме, и если кто из училок объявится, дай знать.
Keep watch. If you see a teacher, let us know.
Гляди в 4 глаза.
Watch with all 4 eyes, eh?
Давай, давай! Ты нам должен.
I stood at the corner, filled with conflicting feelings and thoughts.
Ничего я не должен.
Ты чё, не понял?
In a cul-de-sac behind me, Romka was having a back and forth with some 5th grader. Yeah, bully's got a bully, unfortunately.
Может, тебя на счетчик поставить, а? Ушлепок майонезный.
The boy was protesting on the verge of tears, but Romka stood his ground, spewing countless obscenities at him, with Biasha occasionally adding a couple of words of his own. Would Dad praise me for involving myself with this?
Всё, вали давай.
All right, now scram. My new friends came out of the cul-de-sac. A light bulb illuminated the camera in Romka's hands.
Полароид. Он твой?
Whoa! A Polaroid? Is it yours? Romka shook the black electronics marvel with a retractable flash, disinterested.
Теперь мой.
It is now.
Мне тут один должник велик торчал за свой гнилой базар.
There was this guy who owed me a bike for talking crap.
Но, говорит, нет у него велосипеда.
Turned out he didn't have one.
Вот и расплатился фотиком.
So, he paid with the cam.
А мне он, честно говоря, в хер не впился.
And I have jack use for it. I felt bad for that boy, but all the negative thoughts disappeared when I looked at the treasured camera. I could clearly imagine how happy Olya would be with this Polaroid. I imagined myself taking pictures of my sister, Dad, and Mom. The faces of my family would gradually appear on the hard paper as if emerging from the dissolving mist. I'd take pictures of Polina, too. That way I'd be able to get her photo for myself. Ah, he's got a crush. He's got a crush. I'd keep it in my desk under lock and key. Yeah, sure, bro. You're going to keep it in your desk? If it's your desk at home, maybe. Not your desk here. It's no way it's going to stay hidden. Not at school.
Раз он тебе не нужен, можешь мне его отдать?
If you don't need it, can I get it? Roma measured me with a sharp glare, turning into the Romka I'd met yesterday, the callous leader of a carnivorous pack.
Ты извини, братан, но я вещами просто так не разбрасываюсь.
Sorry, bro, but I don't throw away things like that.
Могу в ломбард загнать, ну или разыграть во что-нибудь.
I can drop it at the pawn shop or maybe bet it on some game. For some reason, as soon as he mentioned a game, I remembered Alisa.
Ну,
I looked
давай
at
я
the
с тобой на него
Polaroid.
сыграю. Только во что?
Well, let's play for it then. Do you have a game in mind? Biasha snickered into his fist.
Чером! Снимем с нас вантовки последние штаны.
Yo, Romka, shall we make Antoshka lose his shirt?
Я тебе что, пидор с пацанов штаны снимать?
Do I look like someone who'd strip another dude to you? Romka stared at me from
На
above.
что играть собрался?
What do you have to bet?
У тебя хоть бабки есть?
Do you even have cash?
Во-во! Свети карманы, Тофик.
That's right. What's in your pockets, Toshik? I slowly turned the pockets of my pants inside out in vain hopes of salvaging at least some change from my lunch money. Something rustled in my pocket. I fished out the Mercedes-Benz insert I got thanks to Alisa. I guess I shoved it there without thinking when it flew out of my school bag with all the
А на
notebooks.
вкладыши играете?
Will you play for these inserts? Biasha's eyes almost popped out of their sockets as soon as I brought the car's picture closer. But Romka didn't move a muscle.
Хочешь, чтобы я целый фотик за какой-то там фантик отдал?
Want me to bet the whole cam for some inserts?
Это за...
That's...
Да жвачки это и рубль цена, а в полароиде кассета еще целая.
The gum is worth 1 ruble. This Polaroid has a fresh cartridge inside.
Да это да...
Look,
Ой,
that's...
у меня таких вкладышей жопой жуй, на кой мне еще?
I have a crap ton of inserts like that. Why would I want...
Мерседес-Бенц, на! Его-то нам и не хватало, Робить!
Mercedes-Benz, eh? The one we're still missing, Romka.
Фу, блин.
Romka spit on the ground and slapped Piotr over the back of the head. He's like, idiot, why don't you just reveal that we really want it?
Ну ты и трепло, братка. Теперь он за него цену до небес взвинтит.
Why can't you keep your mouth shut? Now he'll jack up the price. Just like I suspected, this automobile was a valuable addition for every turbo gum collector.
Ага, значит, появился интерес?
Aha! So these caught your eye after
Так во что
all.
будем играть?
What are we going to play?
Подкидного!
Siege Durak.
В ножички?
Mumble-Tipeg. In the blink of an eye, a greasy deck of most likely marked cards appeared in Biasha's hands, and Romka masterfully swung his butterfly knife like in front. What now? And Romka masterfully swung his butterfly knife like in front of my nose. Okay, I don't know what the like is doing in there, but fine. I had no desire to play by
А
their
давайте в
rules.
камень-ножницы.
Let's play rock, paper, scissors.
О, а ты у нас любишь рисковать.
Oh, I see you're a gambler.
Ну что, мой полароид против твоего Мерса?
All right, my Polaroid against your
По рукам.
Mercedes. Deal. Oh boy. Oh, I should do. No, it's fine. Yep.
Есть!
I raise my fists toward the ceiling
Стопе,
in
стопе.
triumph.
У нас принято
Wait,
до 3
wait,
побед
wait.
играть.
We do it best of 5 here.
А раньше сказать.
Why didn't you say that
Ты думал,
earlier?
все так просто будет, на?
Did you think it'd be this easy,
Не
eh?
пойму, чё ты хмуришься так? Один раз уже выиграл, преимущество на твоей стороне.
What's with the pouting face? You already have the advantage here.
Давай-ка продолжим.
Let's
Раз,
continue.
два, три!
1, 2, 3. Up, tied. 2. Three. Ha! I win. I looked at my opponent with suspicion.
Ну, я выиграл. Или теперь мне нужно еще и Бяшу обыграть?
So, do I need to win? Do I win now, or do I need to beat Biasa too? Romka mumbled something under his breath, like, you dirty rascal, or whatever. Well, some cussing, probably, actually, but he'd probably refuse to play by the rules, and I'll be left with
Эй,
nothing.
Ромыч, все по чесноку на.
Romka, you won fair and square, eh? Humble in victory, you won in rock, paper, scissors. Okay, achievement, apparently. Romka reluctantly gave up.
Везучий ты, сука.
You're
Держи.
one lucky. Here.
Только писюн свой не фоткай.
Just don't take pictures of your wiener. Like that was the plan. Roma's knuckles are already... Well, he's a bully, right? He beats people up all the time. So that's not surprising to me at all, actually. I would expect to find scuff marks and cuts and stuff on his knuckles all the time. He beats enough people up. Of course, at some point, I guess, they wouldn't be as much, right? He'd develop calluses, but yeah. That's right, yep. I weighed the Polaroid on my palms and realized that I was smirking like a true winner. It's been 7 days since the lieutenant visited our class. At first glance, everything was still the same. The forest still held out its gnarly claws toward the village, and the wind whipped up its white fangs, weaved from powdery snow every night. When my parents argued in the other room, I would turn up the TV's volume to silence their muffled voices and sit close to Olya. Volva's and Semyon's photos were still 2 black spots on the notice board, and round-faced Senya hasn't returned home either. Yeah, Senya was the so when we looked in the folder about the case of the missing kids, that was that little girl, the first one who went missing before these last 2 kids, Volva and Semyon. But something did change. I could see how different the looks of my classmates were. They made my pockets bulge with gifted apples. Their animosity was gone. School wasn't scary anymore. But most importantly, a shadow slid across my desk, leaving behind a mysterious note. I glanced into the space between rows, but the messenger was already nowhere to be found. Who sent me this note? What could this carefully ripped out and neatly folded piece of paper be hiding from me? More threats and humiliation? Or... I took the piece of paper and carefully inhaled the wafting aroma. Blackberry. I'll be waiting at a cul-de-sac near the dressing room. Come alone. A little heart. Oh, they just said the same thing, yeah. There was a message in beautiful handwriting that said that. Okay. Drunk on that sudden call, I immediately started walking, looking over my shoulder from time to time, making sure nobody's following me. I didn't even notice how I almost broke into a run and jumped around the corner. As soon as I did that, I rammed into somebody inside the dark nook.
Ой!
Ow! Like a magic bird, a green notebook glided to my feet. Polina puffed her cheeks in exaggerated
Petrov!
anger.
Да ты совсем зрение потерял.
Petrov, have you lost your sight completely? I fixed my glasses. My nearsightedness wasn't that embarrassing anymore. I bent down and picked up the notebook.
Прости, я так торопился. Ты меня ждала? Что случилось?
Sorry, I was in a rush. What are you waiting for me? Did something happen? Polina studied me with her eyes and clicked her tongue.
А знаешь, на что ты похож, Антоша?
Do you know what you look like, Antosha?
На блюзовую импровизацию.
Like blues improv. I blinked in bewilderment.
Это как?
What do you mean?
Для меня все люди с чем-то ассоциируются.
I always associate people I know with something.
И для меня. Но не с музыкой же.
I do that too, but why music?
Вот как раз с музыкой.
It can't be anything other than music.
Бывают люди гитарные соло. Или барабанный бой. Или военный марш, как наша Лилия Павловна.
Some people are like guitar solos. Some are drums. People like our Lydia Pavlovna are war marches.
А ты такой задумчивый, таинственный. Иногда немного печальный.
And you're so thoughtful, so mysterious. Sometimes even a bit sad.
Ты точно блюз.
You're definitely blues.
А почему импровизация?
And what about the improv part?
А это когда слушатель не догадывается, куда свернет мелодия, какой темп возьмет.
It's when the listener has no idea where the melody will go, what tempo it will adopt. Of course, some of the things Paulina said went completely over my head. But I couldn't stop looking at her smile, light like a breeze in May, and her eyes, deep and blue.
Чтобы распознать в тебе музыку, нужен опыт и вкус.
One needs to have experience and taste to recognize the music in you.
Это не какая-то там эстрада.
You're not some pop music.
Я, наверное, вообще не знаю, что такое этот блюз.
But I don't think I even know what blues is. Paulina gasped and frowned, which made her look even more beautiful.
Не произноси при мне такие слова. Я тебе обязательно дам кассету.
Don't say something like that to my face. I'll make sure to give you a cassette.
Раньше мне дедушка из города столько музыки привозил. И джаз, и свинг, и классику.
So anybody who watches this now or later, who might be younger audience and so doesn't know, a cassette is an earlier medium for playing back music. So obviously today we have digital. Before that we had, there's Blu-ray also. That was more for video, but we had DVDs. Then there were CDs. Before CDs were cassettes. And then before cassettes were records. So anyway, so it's a really old audio medium. Grandpa used to bring me so much music from the city. Jazz, swing, and classical too.
Это он подметил, что у меня склад ума, как у музыканта.
He was the one to notice my musical mindset.
Я еще совсем маленькой пыталась на бумаге записать звуки природы. Пение дождя, леса.
When I was still very little, I tried recording the sounds of nature on paper. The songs of the rain and the forest.
Эх, мне бы твои уши.
Ugh, I wish I had ears like yours.
А мне бы твои глаза.
And I'd love to have your eyes. I tensed up, worried she was making fun of me, but Paulina shook her head.
Да-да, я серьезно. У тебя глаза художника.
No, I'm serious. You have the eyes of an artist.
Смотришь на вещи и фиксируешь их. Я так не умею.
You're so good at picturing things. I can't do that. Katya walked past us with her trademark frosty glare. We dove into the shadows, trying to escape it.
Теперь понимаешь, почему мы тут прячемся? Вот из-за таких, как она.
You understand why we're hiding here, right? Because of people like her.
А Катька какая мелодия?
What kind of melody is Katya? Paulina flashed me a sly smile.
Скрип несмазанных дверных петель.
The squeaking sound of unoiled door hinges.
Знаешь, такой мерзкий дискант.
You know, these nasty descant. I giggled, covering my mouth. Katya didn't hear our whispers, but she suddenly glanced over her shoulder, clearly annoyed. A moment later, she sighed and went her way. I remembered about the notebook I was still clutching in my hand. I turned it in my hands. Instead of a subject name, the front side had the name of the owner and 2 words. Friends only.
Любопытной Варваре кое-что оторвали.
Curiosity killed the cat, you know.
Прости, это анкета?
I'm sorry, is this a questionnaire?
Заполнял когда-нибудь?
Have you ever filled out one? I lied that I had. Bad precedent. Don't lie. It's bad in a relationship. Anyway, in reality, girl classmates from my previous school had never asked me to fill their questionnaires. It was quite upsetting. I mean, it was a girl hobby. You just answer a set of standard questions about your favorite actors and colors. But entrusting someone with such a notebook was the sign of friendship. And maybe of something even more. Something I only had a vague idea about.
Хочешь, заполни мою?
You can fill in mine if you want. My heartbeat quickened. Yeah, it's young love, right? Anton gets all like flustered and stuff around Polina, but Polina does like the hair brush with her thumb and stuff. Yeah, she's clearly smitten with him too.
Хочу, спасибо.
I will, thank you, not I do. I think that's a mistranslation from Russian, but I do, thank you, or I will, thank you. Polina giggled.
А хотя, там же столько секретов.
Actually, there are so many secrets there.
Наверное, лучше тебе не знать, о чем мы, девочки, думаем.
You'd be better off not knowing what we girls think. She reached for the notebook, playing with me. I tossed my finding into my free hand. Polina tried to intercept my move. Her hair briefly touched my face, tickling my nose with its silky locks. That is really good art. I love that picture. Some of the drawings in this are, I mean, the drawings overall are great, but some of the drawings, this right here was amazing. Where's another one? This with Elisa. Some of these drawings, this is also really good. This is really good art in this game. I like it a lot. Her hair briefly touched my face, tickling my nose with its silky locks. I sensed an aroma that immediately filled the whole world. Fragrant, alluring, lively. If only I could picture it. Steal it for myself. I felt dizzy, but I gathered myself and spoke in a voice reminiscent of Lieutenant Tikhonov.
Ваша анкета является важнейшей уликой, и я вынужден временно изъять ее для изучения.
Your questionnaire is an important piece of evidence, so I'm afraid I have to confiscate it for further examination. Polina covered her mouth that rounded in fake horror. I think so. I mean, I'm guessing so, but I don't know. I know a lot of independent games you find on Steam or on especially if you find them on other alternate sites. Like if you find an independent game on something like Itch.io or Game Jolt or Indie Game DB. If you find games on those kinds of platforms, you can almost guarantee it's one or possibly two people working on the project together. On Steam, it's less common, but I do believe Tiny Bunny is on Itch.io. And also, I think with something like a visual novel, so these are usually done in RenP, which is like a modified version of Python, basically. I mean, it's an oversimplification, but that's the idea. They're made specifically for doing visual novels like this. Like back when I did Lake of Voices a few years ago. Well, I didn't finish it actually because there were too many routes and stuff. But anyway, when I played that, that's another visual novel. So visual novels, very often, in my understanding, I'm not an expert on them by any means, but my understanding is in visual novels very often are done by a single person. Usually what you find is an artist who then learns how to program. So they do all the artwork for the game themselves, and then they learn how to do the Python programming or the RenP programming to make the game behave the way they want. That's my understanding. Especially because just like there is for Unity or Unreal or similar gaming engines, Tirana Builder, there are online, kind of a combination of online tutorials, or somebody maybe created a snippet of code. They said, this code will do this thing in your game. Feel free to use it, kind of thing. There's a lot of sharing. So a lot of this stuff that might happen in a game like this, if the artist cannot learn how to do a specific thing themselves, often they can go find the code, and with permission, hopefully anyway, they'll grab that code and they'll put it in their own game to do whatever the thing is they want. So you don't have to be a super powerful programmer to do RenP. I've looked at RenP code before, and it's very similar to Python, which is very user-friendly as far as programming languages go. Kind of like Pascal or BASIC way back in the day. It's much easier than something like C or C# or something. Anyway, so the point is, I think usually, spelled artiste, yeah, niche. Anyway, so that's my understanding. I'm not saying it always is true. Okay, maybe there is a programmer who did like artistic things on the side. They enjoyed, let's say they were artistic, and so they would do things on the side themselves. So they would program like for their career. And then they decided to try, they go, well, I can do some art. So they decided to try to make it on their own, doing some kind of visual novel or some such, right? And in those cases, maybe they do start with the programming background as their solid, like their forte, but they also do art as well. Anyway, my point is, I would guess this is a single artist, but it's possible it's more than one. Sometimes there are teams. But the art style doesn't really vary all that much, right? Now, you do get, in stuff like this, you do get layers for the display, okay? So you have this background image, then you have Paulina's avatar on top, and then you have the text box on top of that, right? So it's very possible that you had two artists, somebody doing the background and somebody doing the avatars, for example. That would be a possibility. Or maybe one person always does Semyon, one person always does Paulina, one person always does Katya, one person always does Olya, right? That's very possible too. It's hard to say for sure, but the styles are so similar. My guess is it's the same artist. But I'm better at observing art and trying to and coming to some understanding of like how the art makes me feel and what maybe the artist is trying to say. I'm not as good at trying to spot, two artists that are very similar, but they're not the same. I'm not as good at that, so I could be wrong. Of Bully by Rockstar? I don't know that one. Stylistically, should I play that at some point? If that's the only thing I know that there's a reputation for visual novels that a lot of them get used for kind of like adult, like more sexually oriented, pornographic, whatever games. I know there's that reputation. That's why I'm careful. Like if I'm going to play a visual novel on like my channel or like streaming or something, I try to be very careful and make sure I know it's not going to be that kind of a game, because that kind of stuff, even though I do like stuff with gore and there's language and stuff, I try to keep my channel at least less adult oriented than maybe some people's channels might be. That's not always the case, of course. With gore especially, I end up with that stuff. But I try to steer clear of that stuff mostly. Sometimes I'll play a game where there might be some sexual stuff and it is what it is, and I'll just kind of move past it and finish the game. But if something's heavily like that, I'll try to avoid it. So my point in saying all that is, if Bully is not a game that has really any of that, then I'd be more than happy to try to play it at some point. If it's got that stuff, I mean, maybe I'd still play it on my own, but I would definitely not do it on my channel or streaming or something if it's got like sexually explicit stuff. So, Bully full like Dead Eye. Oh, really? Oh, okay. I would totally be down to do. Why don't you? Maybe not for stream. I don't know. Well, it's your call if you think so or not. Are you on my Discord channel? I don't know if you're on my Discord server or not. If you're not, then I should give you a link if you don't already have it. Because where is that? Is this? Is this it? Yeah, these are uploads. Okay, let me find. 1 second. In the chat, I'm going to link you to my Discord just so you'll have it, if nothing else. This is an invite the invite does not expire. So this is always a good invite. For my channel. There you go. Okay. Anyway, so if you're not on there already, I invite you to join, but if nothing else, you can try to reach me through Discord. My handle, let me see. Yeah, my handle is just my name, but no space. So that's my Discord handle. Like I said, no space. So if you want to message me on Discord also, either way, but if you want to point me in the direction of that, I'll take a look at it. It's not, at least it's worth considering, if nothing else. Even if I don't end up streaming it, at least I can look at it. I appreciate it. I appreciate a lot of gaming suggestions or references. If references that I don't get, I like to learn about them. So anyway, okay, so he's like, I'll have to keep this for evidence. So Paulina covered her mouth, that rounded in fake horror.
И что мне грозит за сокрытие улик?
And what are the implications of concealing evidence?
Следствие покажет.
We'll decide that in the course of our investigation.
Сдаюсь, товарищ милиционер.
I surrender, Mr. Policeman.
Только обещайте ничего не читать.
Just promise you won't read anything.
Здесь содержатся секретные сведения.
It's full of sensitive information.
Боюсь, что мне все-таки придется выяснить, не влюблен ли кто в гражданина Петрова.
I'm afraid I'll have to investigate whether someone is in love with Mr. Petrov. Polina burst out laughing, pressed herself against my chest, showering me with the aroma of her hair and her milky skin that looked almost transparent, with tiny threads of veins running over it. Her whisper was hot, like a piece of butter sizzling on a pan.
Тогда поклянитесь, что не станете разглашать информацию.
Then swear that you'll keep this information private.
Честная милицейская.
I swear on my police badge.
А теперь, Антоша, самое время поторопиться.
And now we need to hurry, Antosha. I took out the notebook during class. With utmost care, as if it was some sort of a fragile treasure. Skimmed through it, reading into other people's preferences. I was quite surprised to discover Romka's jerky handwriting inside. His letters bulged out of the cells as if embarrassed by their shapelessness. Fearsome Romka found time for something so silly. I chuckled into my fist after I found out that Romka's favorite cartoon is not even Darkwing Duck, but DuckTales. Somewhere in the distance, a teacher was reciting pieces of Andreev's Snapper. I paid them no mind. Paulina's page was decorated with flower drawings and clippings from the Cool Girl magazine. Her favorite musician is Schubert. Her best friend is her grandpa. see. These are not in order. They're shown over here, but they're not in order. I was going to see if we're going to be able to line them up, but I think this is her class or something. Anyway, her hobby is not violin like I expected, but a much more mysterious listening. Can such a mundane process really be somebody's hobby? I looked at Paulina over the heads of the other students. She was focused on taking notes. I flipped the pages until I found a blank one and armed myself with a pen. This reminds me of Monty Python at this point. What is your name? What is your quest? What is the unladen volume of, or what is the volume of an unladen swallow? Anyway, no, what is it? What is the wing velocity of an unladen swallow? That's what it is. Anyway, I flipped the pages until I found a blank one and armed myself with a pen. Anton Petrov, Class 6B. I took a long time to decide on my favorite musician until a trendy pop band, Carman, came to mind with the cool dancers in their music videos. Carman, a Soviet and Russian techno-pop band, most popular from the late 80s to the early 90s, founded by Bogdan Titomir and Sergei Lemok. It is mostly remembered for unique dancing performances and for writing a music theme for the Captain Pronin cartoon. Interesting. All right. Carman. Favorite holiday? This one's easy. New Year's. My hobby is drawing. My dream? Going to Disneyland, I guess. My hero. My hand moved on its own, writing that. I stopped on those two letters. What if those who read this after me will find my answer laughable and stupid? After thinking for a bit, I decided that not everything should be disclosed on paper. That's how Da turned into Spider-Man. The spelling was wrong, but who cares? Ah. Hey, Faux Fox, welcome. Your biggest fear, huh? I immediately wrote, losing a person who's dear to me. Your phone number. No secret here. 30395. Your favorite cartoon? Transformers. Your best friend. I hesitated, gnawing on the pen's cap. I remembered Elisa gliding behind the trees, laughing enthusiastically from the shadows. I hadn't seen her in a week, and it even made me worried. After all, she was the one who stopped the colossus of a monster that wanders the forest in the night from tearing me to bits. I mentioned Masked Girl to Romka and Biasha before, but they just gave me weird looks. I wonder what she's up to right now. Your best friends. I read the question out loud. It was easy, but at the same time very important. My answer consisted of 3 letters, and I filled them in the cells with care. You. Aww! He said Paulina was his best friend. Dude, that's super cute. Aw, young kid love. It's awesome. Okay, you, I repeated when running out of the school. Refreshing frosty air made my cheeks turn beet red. It was bright outside, and the sun looked like a whole egg yolk. The road looked as if it was silvered. The snow sparkled under the sunlight. I smiled, squinting from the blinding whiteness. There's also something magical in my chest that beckoned me, because friendship can grow into something bigger. What's with the happy face, Tosha? I swallowed my smile and turned red.
Анекдот вспомнил.
I just remembered a joke. Biasha was shuffling his feet in the middle of the yard, his boots restless on the ice.
Ну, делись тогда.
Share it with me, eh? I rummaged through my memory and blurted out a random joke I'd heard today in the
Кощей
cafeteria.
вышел на крыльцо почесать себе сундук, зайца, утку и яйцо.
Why did the chicken come across the road? It was stuck to the chicken's foot.
Ясно, Петросян.
I see, Petrosian. Yeah, he's like, Biasha's like, that wasn't funny. Great joke there, Anton. Petrosian, a Soviet and Russian stand-up comic, colloquially known as the king of humorous remakes and dad jokes. Yeah, that's a very dad joke. Dad joke.
Ну, идем на.
Let's go, eh? He walked toward the school's corner without waiting for me. I hesitantly tagged
куда?
along. Where are we going?
Идем на.
You'll see, eh?
Мы теперь в одной связке и действуем заодно.
We're now in one pack, so we move together.
Помощь твоя нужна в кое-каком дельце.
You'll need to help us with some small business. I felt chills run all over my body. I did not like the sound of that small business. Those words, accompanied by spitting, normally hid very dark deeds underneath them. Strangers that used to call our old apartment used to say, "Get your old man. We have a small business to discuss." Biasha turned around. He looked like an astronaut in this tight hood. If I were to imagine him as a sound, he'd be a deafening whistle, a signal given by someone who stands watch. My knees started shaking as soon as I thought that I was about to be dragged into something shady. Images flashed before my eyes. Tikhonov's strict gaze as he shuts the prison cell door on me. My father hitting the bars in anger. Mom and Olya crying nearby. To my demise, there was nobody at the backyard. Apart from the grim-faced Romka. He stood there, his feet wide apart with his right hand hidden behind his back. He must be holding a knife. The steel butterfly of death that flies toward a person's heartbeat. Romka's dry lips were tightly pursed. He kept shooting glances at me as he looked around. What's going on? It was as if Romka read and announced my thoughts.
Что происходит?
What's going on?
Ничего, проветриваемся на.
Nothing much. We're out for a walk, eh? Biasha said. Biasha's voice sounded nasty, snarky.
Проветривайся в другом месте.
Walk some other way.
А мне и здесь нормально. Да, куколка?
We like it here, right, baby? Baby? Is he talking to me? I was so bewildered I wasn't able to squeeze out a single sound in reply. I just watched the bizarre scene play out in front of me by my new problematic friends.
Видишь? Ты ее напугал!
Look, you scared her.
А тебе какая забота, говнюк? Вали пока цел на.
What do you care? Put off while you still can, eh? I was trying to digest what I just heard. Did Biasha really call Romka a... Is he out of his mind?
Пацаны,
Guys? Biasha ignored my weak protests and stepped toward Roma, swung at him in a weird, comical manner. Romka blocked the punch with his free hand, keeping his right hand behind his back. Even actors in Indian films that my mom loves fight more convincingly. Biasha started weeping, even though I hadn't seen Romka hitting him.
Ай-яй-яй-яй-яй-яй-яй, больно как! У меня сотрясение мозга!
Ow, 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 it hurts! I have a concussion now! Romka kicked him in the knee and Biasha fell to the ground, sighing and moaning. I stared at the approaching Romka without blinking. His elbow was twitching, and his hand crawled from behind his back. I grew roots into the asphalt. A blade will shine in front of me. Here it comes. Romka yanked his hand from behind his back. My teeth chattered from fear. A bouquet of snowdrops that appeared out of nowhere in this freezing weather swayed in front of my face. What's this? Flowers?
Позволь проводить тебя.
Let me escort
А
you.
то, сама знаешь, шастают тут всякие маньяки.
You know, there are all sorts of creeps snooping around here.
Ну а Тёна, бедным маньякам уже и посасать нельзя.
What's wrong with innocent creeps doing a bit of snooping about, eh?
Эх, хреновый из тебя маньяк, Бяшка. Даже Тоха не повелся.
You make for a crappy creep, Yasha. Even Toha here was not phased.
А она нас в 2 счета раскусит.
She'll definitely see through our act. Words finally returned to me.
Она? Кто она? Что тут творится?
She. Who is she? What's going on here? Romka snorted, blowing snowflakes off the
Да,
flowers.
маленькая репетиция, братан.
A small rehearsal, bro.
Хотели на твою реакцию посмотреть.
Wanted to see your reaction. Byasha stood up and brushed himself off.
Да Ромыч в тёлку одну втюрился.
Romka here is head over heels for a cheek.
Вон откуда-то цветы нарыл.
Even dug up these flowers from somewhere, eh?
Пасть заткни!
Shut your trap.
Я так.
I'm
Планируем
just
подкатить слегка.
planning a little pickup.
Разыграть представление. А то она неприступная, мать ее за ногу.
Like staging a performance for her. She's so damn unapproachable, you see.
Типа гуляет девочка себе, а к ней докапывается такое вот говно.
She'll be just walking outside and then a like him starts bothering her. Byasha grumbled, upset.
Сам-то говно.
I'm not one of them.
Ну и я такой ее раз и спасаю.
And here's where I come in and bam! Save her.
Но чё-то Бяш совсем бездарный актер.
But Byasha turned out to be a garbage actor.
Давай-ка ты маньяком будешь.
How about you become the creep?
Я?
Me?
Ну а чё?
Yeah, you.
Как по телеку показывали, маньяки вообще всегда тихие, скромные люди.
I saw it on TV. Serial killers are always these silent, shy types.
Вот прям как ты.
Just like you.
А благодаря Катькиным сплетням все в школе думают, что именно ты бабурину кокнул.
And thanks to Kochia's gossip, the whole school thinks you were the one to off Babarin.
Давай, соглашайся, Тох.
Come on, Toha. I felt relieved. Nothing criminal, just a scene for a girl.
А что делать-то надо?
What do I need to do?
Ты же видел Бяшино кривление?
You saw Byasha's antics, no?
Тип, идешь ко мне, борзый такой, можешь разок в печень заехать,
You come at me, all brave. You can even punch me in the
а я
stomach.
тебя тип херак и в сугроб.
And I'm like, ha, you fly into the snow pile.
Ну, давайте попробуем.
Well, let's give it a try. Roma livened up.
Отлично.
Nice.
Бяша, меняешь пол. Ты теперь тёлочка.
Byasha, change of plans. You're a little girly now.
Гуляй.
He's like, okay. Walk. Byasha started dragging his feet along the schoolyard,
Я
grimacing.
тёлочка красивая, тёлочка, я гуляю, ла-ла-ла.
The voice in Russian is hilarious. I'm a girly, a pretty girly. I'm on a walk. Yeah. He's so funny.
Тоха, действуй.
Your move, Toa. I went toward Romka, fighting an urge to smile. He hit his hand again and put on a stern expression. A 5-star actor.
Она моя!
She's mine.
Рискни.
Let me see you try. And I tried. Threw a punch in the direction of my friend. My knuckles barely grazed his leather coat, and Romka suddenly fell. Not from my laughable poke, of course, but because he slipped on ice. He plopped on his back with his full weight without a chance to get his hand out of the way. Petals from the squashed flowers were left on the snow. I rushed to help.
Ой, бля. Да погоди ты, не дергай.
Crap! Wait, don't pull!
Не сломал?
Did you break anything? Romka was carefully working his
Да
wrist.
не, ушиб
Nah,
вроде.
probably just a bruise.
Лед приложить нужно.
You should put some ice against it, eh?
Тебя, мудака, приложить нужно.
I'd rather put your moronic head against the wall.
Об стенку башкой.
And smack it as hard as I can. Romka was already laughing as he got up and gathered the flowers.
Да, если я так при подруге навернусь, можно будет про нее забыть.
Welp, if I go flying in front of that chick, I might as well forget about her.
Давай еще раз отрепетируем.
Let's give it another go. Roma shook his head.
Вечером, как рука пройдет.
In the evening, when my hand gets better.
Не хочу опозориться перед первой скрипкой школы.
I don't want to put up in front of the school's first violin. All right. I stumbled mid-word. A switch flipped in my head. It all made sense now. I remembered Romka constantly sneaking glances at Polina. I remembered his scrawly handwriting in the questionnaire. Why didn't I study it more in depth? I felt like somebody hit me over the head with a giant hammer, making me sink into the ground. Polina. She was the main character of this play directed by Romka. And I landed the role of the third wheel. I mumbled hesitantly.
Договорились.
All right.
Вот это я понимаю, команда Вольтрона.
Now that's what I'm talking about. Just like Voltron's team.
Один за всех.
One for all.
И все на одного!
And all on one.
Захлопни.
Shut it.
Если вдруг тебе понадобится помощь, Антоха,
If you
можешь рассчитывать на меня.
ever need help, Antoha, you can count on me.
А теперь бывай.
See ya.
Вечером мы к тебе заглянем.
We'll visit you in the evening. The aftertaste of horrible water I drank down my meds. Oh, I see. The aftertaste of horrible water I drank my meds down with lingered in my mouth. My thoughts were focused on Polina. But the play where I was assigned the role of a villain was also on my mind. I wandered around the house, feeling intoxicated, and nodded to everybody, or everything my sister said, without trying to discern her words. Olia was talking non-stop, at times lifting up her arms and laughing, only then to suddenly go quiet and give me Mom's signature gnarly look. I was yanked out of the prison of my own mind, where seething thoughts pecked at my brain like harpies, stopping me from coming back to reality. I stared back. Olia looked like a mini version of our mom right now. Well, to be precise, she looked like the person Mom turned into when we moved here, with her intimidating posture, her eyebrows directed toward the ceiling.
Ты меня не слушал, так?
You weren't listening to me, were you? She tried spitting out those words at me, copying facial expressions of the person she spent almost all of her free time with. For a moment, I felt like the light Olia exuded all these years waned and wavered in the wind of prolonged changes. Very soon, my beautiful princess will turn into the dragon that was once guarding her prison tower. That thought was much scarier to me than any other horror sneaking up to me from the future.
Оля, прости.
Sorry, Olia.
Ты же не сердишься, правда? Я просто задумался.
I didn't want to make you mad. I just got lost in thought. I looked around the room, my gaze jumping from one object to another like a hungry beast, trying to find anything that could distract
А
Olia.
давай в приставку поиграем.
Let's play the console. Olia pouted, but there was a spark of interest in her small emerald eyes. The Snow Queen's ice shards inside them started thawing.
А как же второй джойстик? Не работает же.
And what about the second controller? It's not working.
А папе починить некогда.
And Dad has no time to fix it.
Можем из пистолета пострелять.
We can play with a light gun.
Ковбоев или уток. Хочешь?
What do you want to play? Cowboys? Ducks? Trying to think if It seems, maybe it's just like a lull in it, right? But it seems like the story has veered away from the more horror aspect of stuff. I'm just wondering, probably, I guess, this evening at some point, right? The horror will suddenly crawl back.
Ты лучше меня играешь.
You're better than me at both.
Да ладно тебе.
Oh, come on.
Ади целый день тренировалась, пока меня дома не было.
You must have been practicing the whole time I was away from home. Olya burst out laughing. Her heart was warm once again.
А как ты догадался?
How did you know?
Я сейчас знаешь, какая меткая. Считай, уже проиграл.
But I'm a good shooter now. You've already lost.
Не на того напала. Включай скорее.
You picked the wrong fight here. Come on, turn it on. Let's save it. Here. There's not an eyeball here, so I guess the only option we have is this. I hid Semyon's signet ring in my desk's drawer. I was still unsure whether I did the right thing by stealing a crucial piece of evidence from the police. Yeah, the answer would be no, that is not the right thing. If it's a crucial piece of evidence, that means it's harder for them to solve the crime. Actually, technically, if it's a crucial piece of evidence, that means it's impossible for them to solve the crime without it. But I think he's overestimating its importance a little bit. I mean, I think it's important, but I think they can still solve the crime well. If they don't rule out spirits, dark spirits in the forest, of course. Because if they rule that out, they probably won't solve it based on what's happened in the game so far. Anyway, then I relocated to my sister's room. Keeps making all these noises as she's adjusting it. It's funny. Little Olya jumped toward the TV set and, after flicking the power switch, started blindly feeling around the backside of the photon, trying to plug the console's cable into the antenna input. Bits of TV shows started flashing on the CRT screen when I armed myself with a remote to look for the channel with the sought-after Dendi signal.
Что дома интересного происходило?
Did anything interesting happen at home? It was a mundane question for me. I didn't put any actual meaning behind it. But Olya's expression suddenly changed. She lost all of the childish nonchalantness she worked so hard to acquire before.
Оль, что-то случилось?
What happened, Olya? My sister managed to put the cable in its place and started brushing off her dust-covered hand. She was clearly looking for the courage to continue the conversation.
Мама.
Mom, she... Olya went silent, and for a moment I thought I saw tears welling up in her eyes.
У нее опять был этот страшный...
She had this scary thing happen to her again. My sister looked at me with wet eyes.
Приступ.
She had a fit, huh? This had happened before, but it was a rare occasion. Now that we'd moved to this awful place, Mom's fits rose in frequency.
Папа принес большую рыбу.
Dad brought home a big fish.
В газету была завернута и
It was a newspaper and had a foul smell.
А мама опять начала злиться. Потом взяла нож.
Mom got angry again, and then she took a knife. Olya squirmed, looking fearfully out the window.
Они начали громко ругаться.
They started screaming at each other. I froze, imagining my little sister so small and unnoticeable, standing in the kitchen doorway. She wasn't even trying to hide. Our parents just paid her no mind at all.
Потом мама ударила.
And then Mom struck it like this. Olya slightly moved her fist downward, imitating a strike.
Рыбу.
She hit the
Она была
fish.
живая тоже.
It
Ей
was-
было больно. А мама...
It was still alive, Tulsha. Must have been in pain. And Mom. It was easy to imagine what happened next. The writhing fish with a blade between its fins squirted some foul-smelling musk into Mom's face. Whenever death got this close to my mom, be it when a person was hit by a bus in front of us and their blood was smeared all over the windshield, or when Grandma chopped off a chicken's head, Mom would always get into a weird, dreadful fit. Her eyes would roll over. She would fall on her face like a freshly cut tree and start writhing, just like that agonizing fish, turning over chairs and blurting out bits of scary sentences.
А папа, он ей помог?
And what about that? Did he help her? Olya shuddered, as if remembering it pained her.
Но вначале
Yes, but at first,
он засмеялся тоже.
he started laughing, Tulsha.
Страшно, когда увидел, что маме плохо.
He let out an evil laugh when he saw that Mom was in trouble.
А потом вдруг заплакал.
But then he cried. Olya's story made me raise an eyebrow. It seemed like the forest's oozing madness had not only completely consumed our mom, but also infected our strong and courageous dad. I quickly stepped toward Olya and locked her in a tight embrace. She dug her face into my chest and I could feel my shirt becoming wet.
Зачем они так издеваются друг над другом тоже?
Why are they bullying each other, Tulsha?
Они сумасшедшие.
Are they crazy? I stuttered, unable to justify the actions of our parents. I'd run out of words, and all I could do was hug Olya even tighter. Did that scare make you guys jump? Or that sudden appearance? Was that jump scare for you? Olya screamed and hid behind me.
Переключи скорей!
Turn it off quick! No matter how many times she saw this intro, she'd always react the same, just like when she saw that owl. I mean, I also got goosebumps every time this ghastly face appeared on the screen, so I immediately complied with my sister's request. Ghastly face. VID. A TV company logo depicting a ceramic head of the Chinese philosopher Guoxiang with a three-legged toad on top of his head. It instilled horror in the whole generation of 90s kids in Russia. Is there anything except play to do? Sometimes some of these things where there's an option there, they just have this one single option. I'm like, why do you make me click to do it? But I guess whatever. I don't know. I guess in case there's something I'm missing, but I don't think so. Finally, the game selection screen showed up for the cartridge that was bundled with the console. So 99,999, that's going to be an easy score to beat, right? Too bad most of the names here were just different levels of the same game. I picked up the gray rectangular controller and started looking around the pixel letters to find the familiar English word for duck. Oh, they're going to do duck hunt. Duck hunt, I guess? Background music from the menu soothed Olya's mind, and she asked in a calm voice,
А как твои дела в школе?
How are things at school?
Да вот, завел пару друзей, наверное.
I made a couple of friends, I guess.
Ого!
Whoa.
Целых двух!
Oh, two of them. You're so lucky.
А ты говоришь, лисичку увидела?
Right. Didn't you say you saw a fox?
Ага, ее зовут Алиса.
Yeah, her name is Alisa. I immediately felt uneasy when my new acquaintance was mentioned. Yeah, because the fox that had, or the girl with the mask of the fox that was with us in the forest back in episode 2 was Elisa. So now Olia, our younger sister, who had not previously, now has been steadily acquainting herself with. Anyway.
Откуда ты знаешь? Она так сказала.
How did you know? How did she tell you?
Да, когда с мамой мусор ходили выбрасывать. А еще говорила, что спасла тебя.
Yes, when Mom and I were throwing out the garbage. She also said that she saved you.
Спасла?
Saved me. I remembered my fight with the delinquents in the forest and that mysterious whisper from the thicket. I remembered the feeling, Semyon. Let's see. I remembered the feeling, Semyon, and the horned giant towering above me with its outstretched hand. Oh, fleeing. I kept reading that as feeling, and I was like, the feeling that what? Wasn't in the sentence. Fleeing, running away. Okay. I was misreading that. I was like, I'm confused. Where's the sentence end? Okay, I remember the fleeing Semyon and the horned giant towering above me with its outstretched hand. That makes more sense. I was like, what the crap? I'm reading this wrong or something. This is not the same thing. Okay. All that time, I could feel Elisa's unseen presence, as if she was watching me from behind the crooked trees, a smile stuck to her ginger mask. I shuddered, chasing away this delusion. Actually, give me 1 second. I'll be right back to use the bathroom really fast. 1 minute.
А еще она что-нибудь говорила?
Did she say anything else?
Не,
Nuh-uh.
мама так быстро вернулась. Я ее хотела с лисичкой познакомить, а та уже убежала.
Mom came back so fast. I wanted to introduce them, but the foxes already ran off.
Ты ее не боишься?
Aren't you afraid of her?
А почему я должна бояться? Алиса добрая, такая пушистая и красивая.
Why would I? Elisa is kind. She's so fluffy and pretty. Most English titles are lost in translation when it comes to Russian, so those are fitting. Yeah. Yeah, it's I think it's enough to give you the idea, but obviously it doesn't have to be exactly accurate. It's the same going to other languages though. If you get some titles in like Japanese or Korean, for example, they come across to English. If you know, I'm not saying you have to be fluent or anything in Japanese or in Korean, but if you understand the actual words and then the translation, they approximate the translation across, and so you lose some of the feeling of some of those words too. It happens in Dutch and French also, depending on what is being translated. Dutch and French is less common because both of those languages have a lot of similarities to things in English, so it's less common, but it still does happen. I do, not all the time, but every once in a while I'll do some translation work for some like Russian authors, and they'll give me the English equivalent, like, well, not translation. I should not say translation because I don't know Russian. I do proofreading work. So they will translate Russian into English and then hand it to me, like send it to me digitally, and then I'll look through what they've written and be like, "Oh, okay." And sometimes I cannot understand what they're trying to say, so I have to ask a question and have them clarify. And sometimes they'll have a phrase and I'll have to go, "Okay, either what is the English idiom for that they said, or if there's not an idiom in English, what's a good way to describe that in English to bring across the same meaning?" But often you'll have like the Russian phrase might be only like 2 or 3 words, and I have to do like an entire sentence almost in English to explain what those words mean, because some things culturally do not translate, right? It's just the way it is. That's right. It's a good thing to point out, though. That's why, like, goose hunt is not duck hunt. Yeah, that's right.
Не то что сова.
Unlike that owl. Burning building man? That's kind of funny. Okay, so then Olya says, unlike that owl. I plugged the light gun into the second controller port, listening to my sister's laughs.
Юрия первая!
I'll go first. Player 1, get ready. Round 1. Oh, am I actually? No. I think they're just... I can't move anything, so yeah, it's just automatic, I think, because she's going anyway. So it wouldn't be us. Oh, okay. Player 2, get ready. Okay. I missed. Crap. Okay. I'm not doing great. There we go.
Ну-ка, от винта!
She won. She beat me by 500. Let's get dangerous. Uh-oh. So that's like really bring it on, I guess. 1,000, 1,000, 1,000. Crap. Oh gosh. Okay. One. Ah.
Это ты виноват, что я промазала.
Boo, it's your fault I missed. Oh, I didn't mean to make her lose. I just tried to play. Well, you win, and then I'll just miss every time. How's that? And then Olya, you'll be the best. How's that? Okay. I'll miss on purpose. There, you'll win, Olya. How's that? There. You win, Olya.
Пиф-паф, ой-ой-ой, умирает зайчик мой.
Big bro, you made your sister happy.
Тоша.
Big bro, you made your sister happy achievement. Bang, bang, and they're all dead. You lost, Tosha. My mom only managed to get through to me on her 3rd attempt. Anton, there's a call for you. It's a girl. I sobered up in an instant and rushed to the hallway.
Не споткнись, смотри.
Watch your step. I grabbed the phone, pressed it into my chest, looking at my mom. She shrugged and went into the room, gathering the toys thrown about by Olya as she went.
Алло?
Hello?
У твоей мамы такой молодой голос.
Your mom has such a young voice.
А, ну да. Она сама молодая.
Well, yeah, I mean, she is young.
Не мешаю?
Are you busy right now?
Нет, что ты.
No, of course not. If only she knew how costly this conversation could be for me. What risks I took on just answering this call. Yeah, because Romka wants Polina, so this is getting in hot water with the bullies. Not like they're actually his friends, though, so whatever. There was a pen and a shabby notepad lying on the nightstand. I picked them up and started moving the tip of the pen across the paper, producing chaotic doodles that always ended up turning into hearts.
Я прочла твои ответы.
I've read your
Тебе
answers.
действительно Кармен нравится?
Do you really like Carman?
Мне, если по правде, русский рок больше
Eh,
нравится.
I like Russian rock more, to be
Но я
honest.
почему-то постеснялся это написать.
But I was too embarrassed to put it there for some reason.
А хочешь, Антоша, и я честной буду?
And do you want me to be honest with you too, Antosha?
Конечно.
Of course. My pen drew an outline of a girl's face, her eyes, her long eyelashes. Polina spoke in a hushed voice, probably to keep her grandpa from hearing.
Здесь ужасно тоскливо.
I'm bored to death here.
Дома?
At home.
В поселке.
In the village.
Здесь никогда ничего не происходит. А если
There-
происходит, то всякая гадость.
There's nothing going on here, and if there is, it's always something nasty.
Дело даже не в пропавших детях.
It's not even about the missing kids.
Музыки мало.
There's almost no music here.
Но у тебя же кассеты есть.
Don't you have your
Я не
cassettes?
про записи.
I'm not talking about audio records.
Ну, голос этого места.
I mean this place's voice.
Он не мелодичный. Все шуршит, как патефонная игла, скрипит, воет изредка.
It's not melodic at all. It's rustling like a record player needle. It just squeaks and moans from time to time.
Тут неуютно.
It feels uncomfortable, suffocating.
Не знаю, как объяснить тебе.
I don't know how else to explain these. My pen's tip drafted a house surrounded by tall
Кажется,
trees.
я тебя понимаю.
I think I know what you
Моя
mean.
сестренка говорит, что чувствует себя заточенной в темницу.
My little sister says that she feels like a prisoner here.
Вот и я. Я очень люблю дедушку. И бросить его боюсь.
Me too. But I love Grandpa. I don't want to abandon him.
Но порой так хочется убежать. Далеко-далеко.
Sometimes I just want to escape so badly. Somewhere very far away. Into the forest, I thought half-heartedly, to run under the falling snowflakes that make young fur white and the branches that hide you from prying eyes. Or that make your fur, sorry. I'll try that again. Into the forest, I thought half-heartedly, to run under the falling snowflakes that make your fur white and the branches that hide you from prying eyes.
Я, когда рисую, будто путешествую.
When I draw, I feel like I'm transported to another place.
У меня также со скрипкой.
It's the same for me with the violin.
Убегаю по смычку в небо.
I ran up the bow straight to the sky. Or no, I ran up the bow, I think. She's talking about her violin, but if she's running up... No, it's probably still violin, yeah. Yeah, that's probably right. So, what I read originally is probably correct. I realized I was drawing a butterfly knife. I crossed it over. Thinking of Romka ruined my mood. Should I tell her? Should I warn her about his plans to seduce her? Ruh-roh. I could throw a wrench into those plans. But what about our Voltron team? They may not be my best friends, but we're still buddies. Are you, though? Are you actually buddies? I feel like that's probably wrong. Who would I become if I betrayed them? Polina or Romka? What do you think? I'm thinking I just choose Polina. It's probably the common choice also, but... Do you guys have any thoughts? Should I warn Polina that Romka's gonna do like a pretend tough guy thing to impress her? Or do I just support Romka in his desire to take the girl that our character already has a crush on? Well, you can let me know in the chat if you have feelings either way. I'm going to choose Polina, though. Sorry, Romka, but you're kind of a scum, and I'm not really happy that Anton, our character, has fallen in alliance with you anyway, so...
Полина,
Polina?
Да?
Yes?
я хочу тебе кое в чем признаться.
I need to tell you
Ромка
something.
попросил меня об одной услуге.
Romka has asked me for a favor. I couldn't force out a sound. Words slipped and fell down my throat. I started wrapping the telephone wire around my finger from
Алло, Антош,
nervousness.
я тебя плохо слышу.
Hello, Anton, I can't hear you. I breathed out loudly.
Ромка сделал из меня маньяка.
Romka has made me into a serial killer. Ringing silence took over the call. Yeah, Romka's made me into a serial killer? That's not the way you want to phrase that. That makes it sound awful. What the crap? He really is nervous.
Что?
What?
Он попросил меня напасть на тебя.
He asked me to
Как
attack
будто
you
я какой-то монстр.
like I'm some
А он
monster.
бы тут же объявился и героически тебя спас.
And he's supposed to show up and save you like a hero.
Алло, Полин?
Polina. She didn't respond, so I blew into the handset.
Ты согласился?
And? Did you agree? The tone of her voice became serious, harsh.
Нет, как ты могла подумать?
No, how could you think that? Bro, you kind of did agree. You practiced with him and everything. Dude, this character with the lying, though.
Я ведь сказал тебе правду.
I told you the truth, remember?
А Ромка с Бяшей, после такого они мне больше не товарищи.
Romka and Biasha, we can't be friends after something like this.
Ах, Антон, спасибо.
Oh, Anton, thank
Я
you.
так рада, что ты со мной.
I'm so glad to have you on my side. My heartbeat quickened. Anxious thoughts about losing Polina passed an imaginary torch to the thrill of meeting her very soon.
Понимаю, как тебе было нелегко рассказать такое.
Muse, you were able to escape the friend zone. Oh, so they're getting romantic now. I mean, it kind of implied that anyway, but that's fine. Okay. I understand how difficult it was for you to divulge something like this.
Дедушка всегда говорил, что музыка лечит душу.
You know, Grandpa always says that music can cure your soul.
Хочешь, я тебе сыграю?
Do you want me to play something for you?
Где? В школе?
Where? At school?
Нет же, после школы.
No, silly. After school.
Придешь завтра ко мне в гости?
Will you come over to my place? I dropped my pen, struggling to believe in what I just heard. Then I rushed to get it from under the nightstand and rammed my head into it.
Конечно. Почему бы и нет?
Of course. Why not?
Тогда завтра после уроков, хорошо?
Tomorrow after school, then. A bump was slowly bubbling up on my forehead, but I almost didn't feel it. The doorbell rang before I could reply. My wandering gaze stumbled upon the door. Romka and Biasha came to pick me up for the rehearsal, and I was supposed to help them lure away the girl I like. I'll have to pretend that I'm on their side, for Polina's sake.
Полин, подожди минутку.
Polina, wait a moment. I made a couple of steps and pressed myself into the door. Yep. The light bulb hanging on the outside illuminated the porch, and I could discern two short silhouettes through the frozen peephole. Look what the cat dragged in.
Подождите, я сейчас!
Please wait, I'll be out in a moment. I returned to the phone and picked up the handset.
Мне надо бежать.
I need to run.
Мне тоже.
Me too.
Спасибо, что выслушал.
Thanks for lending an ear. My ear vibrated from the buzzing sounds. I lowered the handset on the phone and snuck a peek at the staircase. My mom, engrossed in her favorite TV show, didn't hear the ringer. I put on my shoes and hat without warning anyone and slipped into the dark winter evening. I blinked, getting used to the twilight. The wind plucked at my cheeks. It carried the cold, resinous smell of coniferous trees from the forest. Freezing air crackled somewhere in the field. 2 shadows loomed in front of the gate. I could only recognize them as my classmates because of their height. I walked toward the fence, listening to the howling wind and the squeaking snow. One of the figures moved and slowly glided toward the thicket like an ice skater. I slowed down and touched my glasses, trying in vain to adjust my vision to the surrounding darkness. Worry landed on my shoulders like a weightless snowflake. A snake woke up in my belly and started writhing. I felt nauseous. I thought about home, the flimsy fortress behind my back. Mom and Olia were sitting on the second floor of the warm house in front of the TV, watching the adventures of characters in Santa Barbara. That's in case you're unfamiliar with that, anybody who watches this later or now, Santa Barbara was, I don't think it's still going anymore, but Santa Barbara was an American soap opera, daytime soap opera. So not really great acting, over dramatized, ridiculous storylines, and so on. I really didn't want to be a part of Romka's plan, and what I wanted even less was going there, to the place where a double shadow was wavering in the wind.
Что даст реально?
Way so slow, eh?
Мы тут замерзли совсем.
We're freezing here. Biasha's voice was trembling, and the restless Romka was letting out clouds of steam. He looked deep in thought. And in
До
love.
костей продроглено.
We're freezing to the bone, eh?
Шевелись!
Move
Да
it.
иду.
I'm going. I heaved a deep sigh and walked forward, kicking snow piles. Biasa froze in place, facing the Tasia. He was a hand's reach away, and I put my numb wrist on his shoulder for some reason. Probably to make sure it wasn't a dream. It's the owl? Well, I was actually expecting it not to be Biasha, but I was thinking it might be like Elisa or something. I didn't realize it was going to be the friggin' owl. A pointy beak was directed at me, strewn with feathers that formed an owl face. And I thought that because while he was walking, now it's probably like a week and a half ago in the game, but when he was walking through the woods after school that one day, right, it was Elisa, then it turned into the bullies, then it turned back into Elisa. So I thought it was going to be Elisa again, not the owl. Yeah, another one, that's right. It's not the scary dark one that Olya is frightened of, at least, as far as I could tell. Yeah, so it's different. A pointy beak was directed at me, strewn with feathers that formed an owl face. Something wearing a bird mask was staring at me.
До самых косточек.
Hoot hoot, to the bone. The voice sounded exactly like Biasha's, but there was somebody else hiding behind the feathers and the cardboard. I sprinted away as if somebody whipped me. The masked creature only pretended to be Biasha. They wanted to lure me out. I was running like crazy, drowning in snow. The house in front of me was rapidly growing. The yellow light in its windows granted me hope. My mom and sister are there. My salvation. I couldn't hear anything from behind me, as if nobody was chasing me. Maybe it's because the owls can fly? I was already climbing the porch when I noticed another figure. From the soot-black shadow of my house, a scruffy wolf cub crawled out and stood in my way. Its movements were jerky, chaotic, as if it was performing some terrifying dance, or convulsing during a stroke. I figured we'd go back to the horror theme soon. I just wasn't sure when. And even though I could clearly see that the wolf face was a mask, something in this werewolf's convulsions made me freeze in place. The boy in a wolf's costume rubbed his side against the porch post and fell to his knees. He bent his back so hard that I expected his spine to crack. The beast's eyes shone. But he didn't attack. He kept crawling around and running on all fours. I shifted my feet, my mouth agape, trying to keep him in my line of sight. Something was trickling from the slit in the mask. Viscous drops fell to the wooden planks. Saliva. Some unknown force pushed me in the back, whispering me to save myself. The fence was flashing by at the edge of my vision. I was running, in another direction this time, toward the toothy edge of the forest that smelled of pine. My heartbeat measured time. The wolf boy growled behind my back as if he forgot his human nature. My right leg got stuck in the snow-laden cavity. I yanked it out, cursing under my breath, and fell to the ground. Plastering snow prevented me from standing up, from propping myself against anything. But my unbound thirst for life helped me get out of that trap. Darkness was creeping closer, like the toxic fumes of burial pyres. I ran again, gasping for air that stung my throat. My hair swayed in the wind. I lost my hat when I fell down, and my ears were now hot from the freezing cold, while most of my body was still sweaty. The field finally ended. After realizing that running into the forest wasn't the smartest decision I could make, I dove into the line of trees. I ran without stopping, my face covered with one of my palms. I didn't want to lose an eye to some random branch. Branches whipped my clothes, pricked my skin like butchers that were herding a pig into the grinder. A knot of roots sprouting from the ground grabbed at my foot. I rammed into the scratchy trunk, slid down to its base, and looked around in a panic.
Ух, какой ты быстрый!
Phew, you're so fast! My first desire was to dash toward her and hug her. I resisted it and squeezed myself even tighter into the pine.
Что ты здесь делаешь?
What are you doing here?
Да вот,
This and that. She was holding the hat I
бюро
lost.
находок подрабатываю.
Working part-time in Lost and Found.
Надевай, а то уши замерзнут, а потом, глядишь, и вовсе отвалятся.
Put it on or your ears will freeze and maybe even fall off soon. She giggled. I squinted in suspicion and shifted my gaze back and forth between her and the hat, scared that Elisa might be holding a severed head or something even more sinister. But in the end, my hat turned out to be just my hat. I took it and pulled it over my forehead.
Тепло.
Feeling warmer? I didn't reply.
Там во дворе были какие-то дети.
There were some children in the yard.
И что, покусали тебя, что ли?
And? Did they bite you or something?
Нет.
No.
А чего же ты убежал?
Then why did you run away? The answer was obvious, but after rolling the thought on my tongue, I mumbled,
Не знаю.
I don't know.
Эх, обещала не обзывать тебя дурачком.
Ah, why did I promise to never call you a dunce again?
А я обещание исполняю.
Oh well, I keep my promises. She walked up to me and grabbed me by the elbow. I sensed the familiar aroma of mint, oranges, and burnt sparklers. I wanted to lean into Alice to savor the minute details of her smell.
Сколько можно повторять? Со мной ты в безопасности.
How many times do I need to tell you? You're safe as long as you're with me.
Я твой друг.
I'm your friend,
И они.
and they are too. I quickly turned around toward the place the fox girl was pointing to. Kids in masks appeared at the clearing. At least, they looked like kids, since they were all pretty short. A wolf boy, an owl girl, and a bear boy. They all huffed and gasped for air, clearly tired from running around.
Я думала, ты в снег провалился.
I thought you fell through the snow.
Сталось не копать, нет тебя.
Started digging around, but couldn't find you.
А я не копал. Лень копать было.
And I didn't care enough.
А ну как получается? Если дурак, ты бегай да копай.
You see, if you're dumb, you run around and dig.
А если умный, подожди, пока другие набегаются, накопаются и устанут.
And if you're smart, you wait until the others get tired of running around and digging.
Уж тогда заводи разговор.
Then you start talking.
Как я рад,
You're a rat.
дегенерат.
Degenerate.
А?
Huh?
Не обращай внимания, он со странностями.
Don't mind him, he's a weirdo. I stood there stupefied, my mouth agape as my hands dangled hopelessly. I had no idea how to react to the words of these late-night guests, but I managed to squeeze out something resembling a smile.
Вы просто меня напугали.
You just scared me, that's all. They started looking at each other, and somebody even snorted, as if I said something funny.
Да, лиса права.
Yes, the fox is right.
Это он.
He's the one.
Нет, это наш.
No, this is our... Have we finally found him?
Наш зайчик.
Our bunny.
Да, похож.
Yes, he looks the part. The wolf boy started wagging a part of his costume like it was his tail in excitement. First!
Ну, конечно, ты первый.
Of course you were
Это
first.
волчик раньше всех почуял зайчика в тебе. И
Wolfie
рассказал
here.
нам.
Wolfie here was the first to sense the bunny in you. He told us about you.
Здравствуй.
С
Hello.
нашей совушкой ты знаком не понаслышке. Не такая уж она и страшная, правда?
And you've already met our Hootie before. She isn't that scary, is she?
Да, наверное.
I
А
guess.
этот улыбчивый бугай — медвежутка.
And this smiling big guy is Teddy.
Ты лучше с ним поласковее, а то голову откусит.
Be mindful with him, or he'll chew off your head.
Зачем это?
What?
Да, смотрю, ты чувство юмора где-то обронил.
I see you've also dropped your sense of humor somewhere on the way here. I was still unsure if these peculiar little animals had the best intentions in mind, so I hid my hands behind my back, trying to look away from the gaping holes of their carnivorous or of their carnival masks. Elisa put her hands to her sides in a theatrical manner and somehow managed to wink with her fox face. All right, I think we're going to leave that there for tonight. So that is where we will continue next time we play next week. Okay, so in about 12 hours, we'll be doing more Black Mirror 2. We're getting close to the end, right? We've got the final confrontation it looks like. We're just figuring out the puzzles and how to manage things in the cavern or whatever you want to call it. And then I think we'll have pretty much the end of the game. We'll see. Anyway, but that will do it for tonight. So like I said, we'll continue that tomorrow. Thanks for joining me, Faux Fox Fun Act. Anybody else who might be watching in the meantime, maybe hasn't watched yet, or hasn't said anything, in chat, but is still watching. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it. And I'll talk to you guys soon. Yeah, I was telling Fun Act earlier, Faux Fox, if you're still around. I believe there are 4 episodes, and we're most of the way, I think, through episode 3. So that's what we have to go. Anyway, thanks, guys. I'll talk to you soon. Till next time, stay safe, and I'll see you then. Peace.
Poor spider.
This freaking boy.
Oh, that's so sad.